Hello and welcome to another edition of Droppin' Bombs with me, Corey Baumeister. As always, with the lovely people here at TCGplayer.com, bringing you the best in trading card needs. So, we are freshly back from a quite disappointing Pro Tour. It was a phenomenal day one, going 7-1, and then inversed on that and went 1-7 day two. So it was a bittersweet tournament, the extreme highs to the unfortunate lows. But we noticed something when it came to that Pro Tour. Just every single person basically realized that red-black is the best deck. So pretty much any deck that was at the top of the standings, we even saw in the top 8, there were 6 of the 10 decks made up Chainwhirler decks. I know there was some mono-red versus some red-black. But it really shows you the power of what these red cards are. And that makes it for decks like this to be very scary to play because there's a lot of creatures that just all die to Chandra, all die to Glorybringer. So mono green notoriously has been a little bit out of favor because it also has a pretty rough blue-white matchup. So mono green I would have considered as like a tier 2 deck going in. But one of the pro teams ended up playing this deck to some quite impressive results. It actually had quite a few people in the top 32. I really think their list really hones in on the possible ways to beat both blue-white and red-black. I was just going to play my Pro Tour deck for red-black, but let's be honest, we've all had enough red-black. You know, I think it's time to build some decks that are going to beat these decks instead of just joining the party for your future events. So we're gonna give this a shot, and I think mono green notoriously, like I said, has problems. But adding the blue, it may be only 4 blue cards, you know, and then a River's Rebuke here, but it makes a world of difference when it comes to being able to stop a timely fumigate, or, you know, even like Nature's Wing a Glorybringer before it hits you. Their sideboard plans really make a lot of sense, and I really wanted to try it. So let's get to the deck. So we got 4 Llanowar Elves. Still a very rough card when it comes to dealing with Chainwhirlers. But the play of going turn 1 Elf into turn 2 Steel Leaf Champion just doesn't matter if they're playing a Chainwhirler. I mean, if they go turn 3 Chainwhirler and you're on the play, you've already attacked them. You know, you've already added something else to the board. Sure, they might get your basic forest now that's already done some heavy lifting. On the draw against Chainwhirler decks, we're definitely still taking this card out every time. But on the play, you know, get aggressive on them, still get value on it. It still seems pretty decent. 3 Blossoming Defense. This is a card where you really just want to stick one of these big threats, like the Champion or an Altasaur or a Gearhulk, Ghalta, any of your gigantic threats, and just protect it. Protect it and let it attack a couple of times and win the game. That's really this deck's MO. And when you only have to pay 1 mana to protect it against anything that could be coming at it, except like a settle, it's a very, very high valued play. We got 2 Impulses to help the deck smooth out a little bit. 4 Resilient Khenras. This card, you know, boosts right away to get a extra couple points of damage in. You know, very relevant when you're attacking Teferi, attacking their last couple points of life. And then you still get that inevitability of it coming back for 6 as a bigger creature and really pumping something. This is really relevant because when you cast Resilient Khenra, you're paying 2 for this card. It has 2 power, and you're giving another creature 2 power for 2 power more. So if you think about it in terms of Ghalta, that's 2 mana to produce 4 mana for Ghalta. It's a very big deal when it comes to this deck. Servant, it's very relevant for ramping, of course, because we do have expensive spells like an Altasaur that costs 7. But like I said with the Resilient Khenra, it adds 4 to Ghalta. Servant adds 3. And it's only a 2 power creature. So every creature in this deck is trying to build enough power where they get to be able to play Ghalta for super cheap. Heart of Kiran was definitely a product of trying to deal with blue-white. Heart of Kiran is a very good card at attacking through Seal Away. and not the best against these red-black decks. So I definitely see this as a product of dealing with the control matchup. We got 2 Rowanus here. You don't want to overload on this card, but it can be your most powerful spell and really lead to another example of inevitability here. Thrashing Brontodon is a phenomenal creature to play on even on turn 2 when you're going into red-black. Like, you go Llanowar, go, they go land, go, you go Brontodon. They untap. There's no real way to kill this. You can't abrade it, you know, and when it comes to that kind of point, they're having to wait till they can Chandra it, or they're having to wait till they can disintegrate it, and that's just putting themselves behind, and we're adding another threat to the board that they have to deal with as well. It's all about getting that upper hand, and oddly enough, this green deck plays as a tempo deck. Green is usually not notorious for tempo, but this is really how this deck has to play out in our current metagame. 4 Steel Leaf Champion, you know, people are saying this is the best creature in Standard right now next to Chainwhirler, and we're going to find out. We're going to find out how good it is. We didn't do much testing with this deck just because we did not have anywhere near as good of a list, and we really dismissed it thinking that it had both a bad matchup against black-red and blue-white. So this deck wasn't even really on our radar here, and it actually beat my brother in the last round when he was playing blue-white. They had a close match, but yeah, it looked really good. So 3 Altasaur, I think this card is awesome, and thinking about what it kills, it does a lot of heavy lifting, like dealing with Glory Bringers, you know, maybe they've already hit you once, but being able to finish that last hit off, and just random stuff throughout the format. It's a great Pro Tour card, to be honest. We got a boat. Boats are great. There's definitely situations where we're going to be bringing in both of them. Gearhulk, always one of the powerhouses here. Just an extra 5-drop that they wanted. That's also good. But the deck doesn't really get up to that high of mana very easily. Like, you notice we have 22 lands, so you don't want to be overloading on this effect. I really like the addition of Commit to Memory here. It's another way to point at anything and deal with it. You know, a Teferi, a Fumigate, you know, spells, creatures, whatever. This card just is an answer to so many different things. Not very often you memory, but, you know, there could be a sticky situation where it might come up. 2 Ghaltas. This is the bread and butter of the deck. This is the monster. This is the man. This is the dinosaur. This does it all. Really is the greatest finisher. If you don't have a disintegration, you don't have a COA or whatever for it, you're dead. That's just how this card works. Brings us to why we have a third one. There's definite matchups where we want it in. River's Rebuke, you know, God Pharaoh's Gift, tokens. This is kind of your random card catch-all. Nissa's great against blue-white. Another 5-drop planeswalker that you're going to want to bring in when maybe Gearhulk isn't necessarily great or Boat isn't great, when you still want a card in that slot. Bestiary, same thing for control, just to get that extra advantage. We actually played blue-white with Approach at this last Pro Tour. This was one of the 2 decks I was deciding upon. I ended up playing black-red because I had great success with it in the mocks the week before, and I really felt like I knew how to play it pretty well and had a bit of an advantage in mirrors with that retrospect. And Brad and the rest of the blue-white control players came up with a great plan to beat cards like this, because we were struggling with green-black when they were bringing in Bestiaries, Nissas, you know, they were really overloading all our counter spells, and we just decided, we're like, why don't we just approach them? Well, they're drawing cards and slowing themselves down. We just win the game. You know, it was a great answer to this, and if that becomes more popular, these are going to be not as good of a card. 2 Harvesters up against red, of course. Very important there. Crushing Canopies. This is another card for blue-white. Dealing with Lyras, dealing with Castaways. This card is a really good split card for that. Negates and the other Blossoming Defenses are definitely for the control matchups. Being able to stop a Settle or a Seal Away is very important. And being able to fight your Glory Bringers here is what this card screams out to me. It may have already hit you, but it is another way to kill a creature and then get through. And Glorybringer will eventually get back and start gaining more advantage. It's just a good, effective way to deal with that, which green and blue can't really do too often. Okay, so stay tuned. Let's get our green Stompy on. All right, and let's get to the games here. Fortunate to win the die roll here. I think that's huge with this deck. This hand is definitely not great. For sure missing the Llanowar, but I do not think it's a mulligan. So we're going to keep. All right. Lead on a forest here and send it their way. Altasaur is just a 4-mana 5/5. People forget how big this creature really is because it hasn't made an impact on Standard yet, but it really is a phenomenally big creature. All right, we're going to get the resiliency of the Khenra out here. Probably walking into a fatal push. Oh yeah, would love to make it a 4/4. All right. We got value in 4 turns. Coming in. Alright, might have some mono black control action here. That might not be a great matchup. We're going to find out. Alright, get some energy. I don't know what real creatures we're going to be able to kill. Because Aetherborns will fight it right back. Okay. Kieran's a pretty interesting draw here. I think I just want to go Heart, attack with Servant. Well, attack with Servant first. I think I want to go attack with Servant, Heart, and say go. There's another option to just play Altasaur and say go and for sure telegraph that we have this. I think that's kind of loose. I think we'd rather attack. And then next turn we can really protect something if need be. Yeah, because Heart cannot be killed by mono black when it's not a creature. Alright, sack and a draw an extra card. I remember when this card was in the format where you only had to cast 3, lose 2 life, and draw 2 cards. Ooh, there's a creature we can fight. Okay. Well, interesting. So we definitely got options here. We're pretty far away from actually fighting, and when we do fight, they get the puzzle box back. So I kind of like just going Altasaur and just attacking for 4. Yeah, I think that's the play. And then we protect it with Servant in case they have, Vraska's Contempt, really anything. And our opponent did miss a land drop, so I think it's safe to just play as conservatively as possible now. Get in the free damage while we can. So we'll fly on over with our Chicken Nugget here. That was always our test name for this card because it looks like a flying chicken nugget. Opponent did draw the land. All right, never. So we are going to say never allow that. And now you just really just sit back and just defend as much as you can. And then really try to finish them off with the final spells. Whoa, Rowanus. Okay, well, I kind of like just overloading now. Like, we could hold up Commit to protect, or we could just go Rowanus and Resilient and just attack for a bunch. So the only thing we are afraid of here is a Fatal Push. A Fatal Push on our Heart of Kieran is really annoying right now. But I think our opponent would have done that on the Servant if they would have had it. Because the Servant was relevant, it's ramping me up. Heart of Kieran is a bigger deal, so I could see both ways. We're just going to hope that that's how they choose to do it. Alright, so we're going to do this. We're going to crew with the Rowanus. And then close what to Resilient here, because if we put it on the Altasaur, it's like almost for sure getting chump blocked, and if we put it on the Heart of Kieran and we get Fatal Push, that feels way worse. But I think we're going to take the risk here and put it on Heart of Kieran. Taking the risk, and it did not pay off. Happens. I still think we're very far ahead right now. So this will add... Right now, this Cabal does not add anything yet. But it breaks even now. So each additional land, it'll add an extra one. Okay, Walking Ballista. We don't care about that. A second one. Equally don't care about that. Okay, double commit. Now we attack, turn everything sideways, and protect ourselves with commit. Because we are very far ahead on board. And now we just react to our opponent. We did enough to make ourselves proactive. We're ahead on board. Now it's just time to react. Looks like our opponent is going to sack and kill the servant here. And just take 2. That's fine. We could give something trample to maybe close this game out faster, but it's safer to just hold with these commits. So we can commit whatever this is. No, thank you, Mr. Gearhulk. And that'll do it. Okay, mono black, heading to the sideboard. So, a lot of removal is definitely a good indication that we're going to want Blossoming Defense. They don't have ways to be super hostile on our Llanowars with Chainwhirlers, so we want those. Aside from that, I would assume that this would be a good matchup. We kind of have everything in that we would want. I think Brontodons are quite good. They would kill Gearhulk. They would kill Bloodfast if they bring them in. They have a lot of artifacts. Mono black can't rely on just having black cards. I can see Boat being very good. They can't deal with artifacts very well until they become creatures. Another Ghalta doesn't seem good with that much removal. Nissa could be quite good. Altasaurs don't seem great. They don't really fight too much here. And we don't want to overload on 5s too much here. But we definitely want late game. We definitely want to have late game. If Gearhulk was a 4/4, these would be better. But the fact that we would just trade with those. I think we'll try one Nissa here. And run it like that. Can see a world where we want Negate. But Blossoming Defense is really going to counter everything we already want it to counter. So we're going to run it like that. Alright, let's see if we can get our first turn 2 Steel Champion. Oh, I just got to ask, and I am received. Alright, well, we'll see if it actually happens against a mono black all removal deck, but regardless, we have the possibility. We have the technology. We're halfway there. Puzzle box. Okay, that's probably going to be a dead Llanowar Elf. We'll live the dream another day. Alright, we'll get an energy. We'll play a servant here. Be as mana efficient as possible. Now we'd like for that to live or draw a land. We'd like to actually play one of our threats that's relevant right now. Nope. So now we need a land or we're playing another servant. And now they know we're stuck on land, so this is going to have a huge target on its head. Fatal Push. Ugh. Okay, I thought this hand was insane, but when you can't draw land, it's less insane. But our opponent is wasting all this premium removal on our land creatures, so if we can get to our land, it's going to be nice. That's a good one. Our opponent is going to let us untap with this. I suppose do it in our upkeep. That's probably a smarter play. All right. This is the danger of 22 lands, that's for sure. Our opponent is down to 2 cards, so once we dig ourselves out of this, I think we should be okay. All right, so this adds a mana now, so that adds 2. Gonti. It's nice Steel Leaf Champion cannot be blocked by Gonti. That is a big factor. Whoa. Our opponent is going aggro. Heart of Kirin. It's not terrible because we can actually block Steel Leaf Champion here if we can top deck a 3rd land ever. Counter on Ballista. We do have the Brontodon to eventually deal with that, but I think we need it right now. Nope. Okay. What turn is this? 7? Not meant to draw land this game. Okay. Yeah, my Pro Tour was basically summed up in our first match so far. Game 1 was my day 1. Game 2 was my day 2. Anytime I needed it to be a land on day 2, it was a spell. Anytime I needed a spell, it was a land. It was wasn't my best of days. So I still agree with the Altasaurs being out, especially since we saw Gonti. Like, that's not a good fight target. I think everything is going to be the same here. I could see a world where we want another Nissa, because it's a pretty tough threat for them to deal with. I could see that. I don't know how great our Gear Hulk is here. We definitely don't want to overload on 5s too much. Apart from that, I could see Bestiary actually being pretty good here if they're trying to kill everything and we're just trying to draw out of it. That might not be bad at all. I don't think we necessarily want commit on the play. We definitely want to rely on more of our defenses. We're going to give this a shot. Yes, we would like to go first. Ooh. Ew. Yeah, can't keep that. If that was a forest, maybe, but that's got to be a mulligan. Okay, we can keep this. Scry. Ooh. Okay, we're going to keep that. We got a plan. All right, we'll play the Harbor. Now that our opponent can Fatal Push something, I really just want to lead on Heart of Kirin. I don't want to get tempoed out here. Plus, I want to leave the creatures for this if we draw another land. Okay, so that opens the door to be able to attack. Really wanted a land there, but that's okay. This can still crew Heart by pumping itself. And now we at least put him on the back foot. And that's the most important thing we need to do in this matchup. If they can just 1-for-1 and not take any damage, that's how you lose. If they can 1-for-1 while they're still taking 5 a turn, that's how we win. Ooh, especially if they're, I'm guessing, needing a land. Otherwise, that doesn't make sense to play that. Okay. Now this is close between just attacking for 2 or crewing and attacking for 4. Losing our Heart of Kirin would be unfortunate, but losing our Servant is what's going to happen if we don't attack with Heart of Kirin. So I think I'd rather lose the Heart. So I'm going to attack, and who knows, we could live the dream and our opponent doesn't have it right now. Sweet. That's big. Oh, Hero's Downfall would be pretty bad. Sunless play that. Don't care too much about Karn. Okay. So now I think we just have to play the champion and start getting aggressive. Probably still have to kill this Karn here. It's still a big threat. Well, let's see here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're close to being able to cast Ghalta, but not quite there. Yep, I think it's only one play here. Only one play, and it just really comes down to if we want to attack Karn or if we want to attack them down to 6. And I think for now we don't want our opponent to have more card advantage, so we're just going to take Karn down. Heart of Kiran really is a phenomenal Magic card right now. It's a card I did not play in red-black and regretted it a little bit. I think if I could have made a change to my list, I would have put the 1-drops to the sideboard, played Heart of Kiran, kind of like the Japanese player who went into the top 8 in first. I really liked where his list was heading. It was very well tuned. So now we can crew, play Ghalta. 8, 9. If we draw land, we can play Ghalta and crew with Ghalta even. Okay. Wow. Okay. So, we really don't want to attack with these two creatures since they both get invalidated. This creature we do want to get in there, and Heart we want to get in there. And we also want to play a Ghalta. So I think the only play here is play a Ghalta for what it should be, 3. Play a Ghalta for 3, crew with it to Heart of Kiran, and attack with Steel Leaf, Heart, just those two. If we attacked with everything, we could... No, we only have 9 damage, so our opponent could go with the best blocks and just kill our 2 creatures here, and we really don't gain anything. The only thing that's negative about what could happen with this line of play that we're about to take is this 1 swamp contains a fatal push to our Heart of Kiran. That's the only thing. Well, actually, that's not true. Our opponent could have gotten a Blossoming Defense from us. And Blossoming Defense is either the Gonti or the Construct to be able to kill the Steel Leaf champion. And that is something I would play around if it mattered more. It doesn't matter that much in the sense that I would still kill either of those creatures. So we are definitely just going to make the Ghalta play. Just cast a 12/12 for 3 mana, no big deal. Alright, get Heart of Kiran crewed. Hope that our opponent doesn't have one of those 2 1-drops, because if they do not, then neither of these creatures can die. Okay. Did have the Fatal Push. And chump blocking with the 3/3. Okay, that's fine. I guess we are walking into a horrible Black Gear Hulk play here with Ghalta. Okay. Okay, thank God. That could have been so bad. Woo! That could have been horrible. Alright, that's okay. That's not a 5/4 that gains him 12 life. Alright, so now what we really want... We might just have this game locked up by playing a boat. So if we play a boat on Scrap Trawler, then this is unblockable. So that's our opponent taking 5 no matter what. And then we have 12 trample with 5 defense, so 7. Yeah, so our opponent is taking 12, 14 no matter what here with this play. Sweet. We did need this to actually win the game, I think. Get on in there. This deck is sweet. Alright, stay tuned for round 2 with some mono green Stompy. Alright, and welcome back to round 2 here. Let's see if we can continue this green Stompy train. This card really is phenomenal. Just the fact that it can't be blocked by little creatures, like, woo! You know, these 3 power, or these 3 symbol cards that were printed in this set, you know, they all have their very unique elements, and you start to wonder, did they need that extra text? And I'm definitely talking about Chainwhirler. Did it have to have first strike? Really? First strike too? Wasn't good enough. And this one, maybe? Isn't 5/4 big enough? Did it have to have this good ability too? I'm happy it did now that we're playing it. Alright, so we did not win the die roll. Opponent is deciding on a mulligan here. I think our hand is fine, you know. I don't think this deck has a phenomenal hand without a Llanowar. I think that's just how it works. But we could be playing against a Chainwhirler deck now, and the Llanowar could just be a liability. So, we'll see. Alright. Opponent is deep in the tank. Would have been nice to be playing a deck like this at the Pro Tour. Just something to mix it up from black-red. But that deck was very powerful as well. Okay. So an island. Some kind of control deck. Okay. So I think we lead on Servant here because our Resilient Khenra does not give any additional value here. We could lead on Heart of Kirin, but I think this is going to get syncopated or SM scattered. I think I'd rather have that card get countered. So all blue. Either our opponent is not drawing well or it's just playing a mono blue deck. So here, my initial reaction is to play the champion, but I don't want to walk into a syncopate, so I don't think we should play one of our 3-drops right now. I just want something to hit the board. Already played one Essence Scatter. Most of the lists don't play a bunch of them. So I think it is between Servant and Heart of Kirin right now. And I kind of like Servant for the extra mana. I kind of like Heart of Kirin, except we could be walking into a negate, which they could have. So I think I'm going to err on the side of Heart of Kirin. It's a close one. It all depends on what they have in their hand. All right. No lands. I'm guessing this is a blue-white deck that just had a bit of a loose keep. So now we could be running into Disallow. So everything could be countered. So what's the most efficient way to get a threat into play while still doing that? And I think it is the resiliency of the Khenra. Because we don't care too much if that goes to the graveyard. And it can also crew Heart of Kirin. Yep. Knew it was going to happen. At least we got our worst card baited out. Here we go. Alright, so now it just comes down to we just have to start playing stuff. So I think one of our 3-drops is going to be important right now. And this is a Glimmer turn, so when they could play an effective Glimmer, I almost always want to get my most powerful threat down there, because then they have to make a tough decision if they want to Glimmer or deal with a big threat. So we're going to play the champion. We're going to crew. It doesn't die to Seal Away, so he actually can only blink it. Yep, can seal away that, but that's fine. We can Brontodon that Seal Away. Okay. Opponent has all gas. So now I really like all of our 3-drops as a play right now. You know, getting any of them countered is bad, of course, but if our opponent is just trying to play the seal away game, I think Brontodon is our best play, because you can't really seal away a Brontodon because I could just destroy the other seal away. So I think we're going to do that. Really don't want this one to just get countered. Perfect. The seal away is not a big deal. So I would imagine this is the Glimmer turn, because we kind of gave our opponent no real option here. All right. No Glimmer. That's big. That's really big. And a tap land. It's just a handful of Teferis and settles. So now we need to be pushing our advantage as much as we can while we know that there is not going to be a settle. Is there a way to get this Ghalta in place? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No. Well, there is if we crewed Blossoming Defense and played a Ghalta, but that seems kind of loose. I think we should just... I think at this point we make a play that plays around Fumigate, which would be the Rowanus. So we're going to play Rowanus. All right, crew with that. Now if our opponent draws a white source and doesn't want to settle, they can, and had a Fumigate. Brontodoning, getting rid of Seal Away, getting Steel Leaf Champion doesn't really counter a Fumigate. So if we played another Steel Leaf Champion, then our opponent would just be killing all our creatures. So now the Seal Away is going to happen depending on what they target. So targeting Rowanus here, I think this is the opportunity to Blossoming Defense. Maybe. Because we could just have our opponent take 7 and use the Brontodon to take care of the Seal Away at end step. So this one's close. This one is definitely close. I think we're just going to let that happen. Sacrifice it later. Alright, still no double white, so we are going to see a Teferi. Now, what's going to be put on top? Probably... Okay. Now it's what we want back. And at this point, I think we want the Steel Leaf Champion back. Because now we have a lethal threat right there, and we can back it up with Blossoming Defense. So I think there's no way we can lose. So we're going to play this just in case. And we're going to crew this Heart of Kirin. And now we have the Blossoming Defense to make sure that we can for sure push through a Seal Away. So there is nothing that blue-white can do from this point. So we got it locked up. Yep, we're going to let that come into play. We could pick how we wanted to kill our opponent with Blossoming Defense. All right. We'll move on to the next game. So I think we danced around our opponent's possible plays very well, but granted, our opponent also just didn't have double white. You can't dance around settle very easily. So now we're going to be bringing in the cards that do dance around settle. Hopefully they don't play approaches or these strategies get much worse, but we're going to bring in that. Ghalta is not good in this matchup. Neither is Territorial Altasaur, neither is Boat. Your deck definitely changes after the sideboard with this. I don't like Gear Hulk that much either, because they leave in their Essence Scatters for sure. We for sure want to bring in these Nissas. I'm thinking some kind of combination of this is what we want to be doing. I don't know if we want that 4th Blossoming Defense. I think we'd rather have the other spells that are in here. I think 3 is enough, especially with negates and commits. Yeah, I think this is what we're going to run. I like it. I like it. Okay. This sounds great. Can't counter the turn 1 Llanowar Elf, but you can counter the turn 2 Steel Leaf or Life Crafters. Okay, they look so similar. Gotta make sure I click the right one. Alright, we'll play this. Now we really want to see an Azcanta, because then we can just get this bestiary down and call it a day. Alright, since of course that never happens like that, now we think about all the plays we'd have to play around. Every single blue-white control player is going to leave in Syncopates on the play. So that's one card that it could be. They're still going to leave in Essence Scatters. I could see a world where they don't leave in Negates. So I really think our only shot at an uncounterable spell right now is Heart of Kirin. But I also think that's the worst spell to cast. In some of these situations, you just got to go for it and hope they don't have it. Some situations you don't. I think this is one of those situations where we do go for it. And here's the real question is just which one? That I'm not positive about. You know, I think there is a world where we don't have to go for it. I think Heart of Kirin is equally good on this board. Yeah, Heart of Kirin attack for 1 is what we're going to do, just to try to avoid Essence Scatter and Syncopate for 1. Because I don't think they'd leave in a lot of Negates. Alright. Now, we could attack for 1, but it could get Seal Awayed. And do we want that to get Seal Awayed? Probably would rather have that than a Steel Leaf Champion, so yeah, I think we're cool with that. We still got to play next turn on 2 mana. Ooh, and our opponent missed a land. So now we're going to play this and walk into the Syncopate, sadly. Yep, that's a bummer. But now we get to unleash our 3-drops. Okay, a land. Ooh. I think it might just be correct to get this into play. Because this is the only thing we don't care if it gets syncopated. Or we don't care the least, I should say. Yeah, that's better the second one of those than our Rowanus or our Steel Leaf going away. Our opponent's not good at drawing lands. Okay, so now we have the door wide open for things. Now we want to be getting a creature into play. Well, this is another situation where they probably have Essence Scatter, and this is uncounterable right now. So, actually, I think we're going to do this. It's going to win the long game now. Perfect. Opponent could have Invoked the Divine, which they probably bring in. They always have cast outs. Okay. So now we're looking for land to start a commit. I don't think we want that. We don't want that right now. So that is what we wanted. So we are going to play... I think we're going to play Rowanus to start. We'll tap this more correctly. Rowanus, draw a card. See if this resolves. Essence Scatter. Okay. Alright, so we're going to take the Servant since it draws us a card. Yeah, and that Scatter, we had to kind of figure that our opponent had the entire game. So we at least played around it and got something into play. Okay, search for Azcanta, telling us that he does not have another relevant counterspell. So now we're going to go nuts. Okay, so we're going to start with the Steel Leaf. We're going to draw an extra card. We'll take the pain. It's not very relevant anyways. Llanowar Elf was a decent draw. allows us to draw another card, which I think is relevant. Could leave up Blossoming Defense right now, but I think it is better to be getting this. We do put ourselves more vulnerable to a main phase seal away from our opponent, but not the most common play. And we really can start getting some damage in with Oasis here. Just want to avoid that second planes would be great. Main phase Castaway. Yeah, okay, maybe we oversighted that a little bit. Put that on the bottom. Okay. So we're going to use these two creatures to crew and draw a couple cards. So first we're going to start with Servant. Draw. That's nice. So now we could just do Steel Leaf Champion, draw, and then hold up Llanowar. We're playing into Fumigate a little bit then. I think that's okay. We're not going to attack with this, so we're going to tap this for mana. Ooh, nope. Can't do that just in case our opponent has Essence Scatter here. So then we can still play Heart of Kiran. Or can still activate Heart of Kiran, excuse me. We're going to do that. Now we're going to crew. Now we have the option between attacking for 4 or 5. And I think it should just be 4. Probably should have left a green open last turn for the play that I described, which ended up coming true. Now we really want to try to not add more to the board because we have enough. And now we really just want to not walk into Fumigate as much as possible. So I think with that, we are going to be sacking Oasises and getting an extra damage that way. Negate, that's exactly what we wanted right now. Yes, he's short on mana, so that's going to be great for us. Now I think there is a line where we have to look at just going for lethal here. So let's do the math. If we crew Heart of Kiran, that's 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, all we need is 1 Oasis activation to win. So we're going to go for it because we have a negate backup plus a Blossoming Defense. Like, I'm pretty sure there's nothing our opponent could do here. All right, 3. And we have the mana to do it. I'm going to put it on Heart of Kiran. This might warrant a cast out. They could go Blink and Seal Away, and we still have the answer for that. Blink and Seal Away, I think, is the best play that our opponent could have right now, and that isn't enough. This deck's powerful. This deck's powerful. You can really dance around blue-white. Can really dance the dance of life. And negate. Yeah, our opponent definitely did get unlucky not hitting a second white source. Literally ever. But I think we did do a good job of playing around the possible ways, except for this seal away. I think there was a way we could have played more defensively there. But I still don't know if it was correct because we have this going. So stay tuned for our last match. All right, and welcome to round 3, everybody. Let's see if we can lock this up with a nice 3-0. Ooh, this hand's got a few too many lands, but I don't think it's a mulligan. We're going to keep this. Turn 1 Lawnmower on the play is pretty nice. All right, definitely didn't want another land there. All right, pass it back. Looks like we might be up against, ooh, I would say Snake, but maybe not. Ooh, another land. Just what we needed. Heart of Kiran, pass it back. Hopefully we can get a payoff spell here. Brontodon, that's a good one. Okay, taken 2. Servant is not exactly what the doctor ordered here. So we actually, I think, are just going to play the Servant and say go and look to have Heart of Kirin die, just so we can play another one here since we have a redundant copy. I think we'll still crew it, see if our opponent is willing to trade with it. So this card is actually very good against us. Alright. A commit. This actually could be a decent situation where we do want a memory, since we are very flooded. So I think we'll just play a Heart of Kirin, commit something, and then just memory next turn. Why not? Yeah, this memory could actually work out pretty nicely. Commit whatever bomb our opponent plays. Oh yeah, this could be real nice. A Chupacabra. Yep, that's commit worthy. Alright, get that to the hand. Yeah, now I think we just spin it. Opponent only has 3 cards, but they gotta be better than ours, so we will spin the dice. Alright. Well, we can't play anything this turn, but we got some big stuff to do. Alright, Heart of Kirin's out of here. Kind of expected that. 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we can do some fighting with Altasaur, or get some Ghaltas into play. Ramp strategy. Okay, that could be a tricky one. Alright, so if we get Altasaur, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we can't play Ghalta. Could do Steel Leaf Champion and Ghalta. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, that works. That's probably the best play here. Ghalta is more than likely going to die, but we do have that backup one. Then we're even going to attack with this Servant. Maybe. It doesn't really make any sense. Because next turn we could play Altasaur and Ghalta, and we could have it kicked if we have the Servant around. So our opponent is going to be doing some things with their mana, though. That's for sure. Okay, Contempt on the Ghalta. And a battle at the bridge. Okay, they're just casually at 30 life. We're going to take that. Right now, I think we can't play Ghalta. 4, 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7. Nope, so I think we just do the Territorial and fight. And then we have the choice between attacking for 3 or just playing another Servant here. And I think I'd rather get in damage right now. Another Servant doesn't do a lot for us. Alright. Let's see in which way will this Altasaur die. Okay. Our opponent can draw some cards now, which is a little unfortunate. I think we still... Thinking of attacking first and then playing Ghalta probably seems good. 3, 9... Okay, so we can attack, lose the Altasaur, play Ghalta, and have 1 mana open for defense. That seems good. I think that's the only way we maybe get out of this game, is if he gets rid of Aetherborn with this. and then just can't kill Ghalta in time. Okay, so we actually get to play a free servant as well. And now we're going to actually tap down to the land, just in case they were to kill our creature and then kill Ghalta, and we couldn't use our Blossoming Defense. Ghalta. Alright, let's hope this Blossoming Defense can carry us. Does have the long game on their hands, so we really have to try to finish the game in any way possible. And Ghalta is one of those ways, that's for sure. Yep, hopefully that's the only one of those they have. Alright, it lives for this turn. And Deadland's a servant. We're okay with that. Alright, not exactly the draw we wanted, but we will attack. Have our opponent take 12. That doesn't even present a clock next turn, so that gets to be a problem. I would imagine we're in quite a bad spot right now. We're really going to bring in those Nisses and boats. Those are going to be huge. Okay, our opponent doesn't have an answer yet, hopefully. Cast down. Yep, that's a legend. That's nice. Ah. We're still going to play this and attack for 13. Can Ghalta go all the way? Alright, start by drawing that arch, please. No! Vraska will be able to take care of that. Yep. Alright, well at least we got our opponent to a low life total where there is a chance that we could squeak something out. Like even an Oasis on the top if our opponent didn't Deadlands us here. Alright. Or just a land. That's not good. Well, we're only one land away from just hard casting a Ghalta. That's an achievement. Alright, Arch. Trying to think what we can draw from here, but it's a lot more of a sticky situation. We could get the commit memory here and start over again. Altasaur is not terrible. It's a start. Does not deal with Gonti, unfortunately, so we're left to just fight that. A Heart of Kirin is probably what we would need. But then he can Vraska it, so yeah, we're in a bad spot. Okay. Maybe a Rowanus to start stuff off. Now, we just need something we can pair with it. That's at least unkillable. Is this just a giant ballista? Ooh. Alright. And that'll be game. Well, that was closer than I thought it was going to be. Ghalta is a beast. Okay, green-black ramp cannot be a good matchup for us. I did play against this at the Pro Tour on day 2. Did not go my way. So I think these would be pretty good. They ramp into like Josie Vess and stuff too. We don't want to steer too far away from the deck. Close one here. Think we don't want the Allosaurs here. They don't feel super great. think we want the same amount of Blossoming Defense. Could see Life Crafters coming in. But I think on the play we just want to be attacking them as much as possible. I think we'll stick to just max out protection. Go 4 defense, 4 commit. Just really try to protect our threats here. But I am second guessing Bestiary. That could be really strong. If they're killing everything and we can keep drawing cards, I think that's probably good enough. We're going to do that instead of the commits. Get a little bit of inevitability on our side. Alright, we would like to go first. I'm starting to think these turn 2 champions are just a myth. We're going to keep this though, this is fine. Need one more land to really turn on the hand. We do have the impulse. Wouldn't mind getting a different 2-drop that we could pump with Resilient Khenra. Kind of get as much value as possible. We'll take the Sanctum here. Although we actually don't have a blue card anymore. Maybe we just should have taken that Oasis. Alright, there's a Servant. That's a nice one. I think Boat is a very tough card for them to deal with. So I think that is going to be quite nice at dealing with those Death Touch creatures. Okay, so now I think we just want to attack and play a threat that wouldn't die to whatever is convenient with their mana right now. So Cast Down is the first one that I can think of. So I think Ronus is going to be the correct play. All right. Going to play a Ronus here. Now we do have it not being able to attack right now, but with this Resilient Khenra we can make that happen. This puts him in a sticky spot because there's no 3-mana spell that just deals with that right now. Yep, that's a good play though. Yep, that's a very good play because there is no way besides Resilient Khenraing itself to attack, which just might be worth it. Yeah, I think that seems fine. Alright, we'll target itself so that Ronus can attack. Alright, contempting the Ronus. We're okay with that. It was actually going to get very tough to attack after this turn, so. Now I think we're just going to attack and probably just drop a Brontodon here. Can see a world where we want to just get our Servant into play. Because I'm guessing we're going to be running into an Hour next turn. Yeah, with an Hour being the next play, we really want to be able to get Boat down. Okay, that's not the case. Still going to be a nice Boat if we get there. And that's exactly what happens. It's going to be one of the finest boats. T-Pain would be proud. Alright. So now our opponent has to play the game so weirdly from now on, protecting itself from the boat. And then we just choose to not attack with it until it's opportune for us. Like right now, there's no way we're attacking with this boat. You know, like this is a rookie mistake plenty of people make when it comes to this. There's just no reason to get in there with boat right now. So we will not be doing that. But getting in there with a Resilient Khenra and a Servant for sure, especially with pumping a Resilient Khenra. We don't want to pump the Servant because we'd already have that rather have that card live, but if our Resilient Khenra dies, that's not that big of a deal. So we are going to play that. Pump this. Then we're going to go to attacks. not give our opponent the option to Vraska's Contempt our Sky Sovereign. If we were farther ahead on board, we would, but yeah. See, now they're going to Contempt that instead of the boat, which is fine. I mean, it's still a good play. Okay, so now we have a decision between Brontodon or Hardicurin. And there is a thing as being vehicle flooded, and I think that's possible to happen. So that's why we're going to play Hardicurin first, because next turn we're for sure going to attack with it, and we're going to crew with the Brontodon. Because we don't want to be just stuck with all vehicles and no creatures. Brontodon's pretty good against boat. Now I think there is a world where we attack with both of our flying vehicles, because we can't get in on the ground very well right now. Yep, okay, I think we got a good play here. We're going to play Brontodon. We are going to play a Servant. We are going to go to Crew. We're going to go to Crew the Sky Sovereign. Then we're going to go to Combat and see what our opponent does. Does nothing. We actually want to attack with Hardicurin too. So we are going to do that. We're going to Crew here. And we're going to get on in there. Alright, so hit the Brontodon. So now it's just going to be a block, sack, kill the boat. Which makes sense. Alright, put our opponent to 9. Now we got a good onslaught of creatures here, but plenty that we can be afraid of out of this deck. Even a Hero's Downfall right now. Chupacabra's pretty good. Killing our Brontodon. No target that we could kill from theirs. And a Battle at the Bridge. Okay. It's pretty good as well. Like a follow-up play. That's not terrible. Just going to get in there for 4. And we're a little off from killing them next turn. So we'll hope that our opponent's kind of running out of gas, because we are as well. Alright, says go. Not a good draw, but we're still going to play this. More than likely this Blossoming Defense is going to do some work right now. If we didn't have the Blossoming Defense, we'd just be attacking with that Resilient Khenra, in my opinion. But since it's unlikely that they have 2 removals, but still possible, this is going to be our line of action. So we'll Blossoming Defense this. All right, that's going to put our opponent to 1. And now I think there's a case for holding this land as to bluff, but since it's a tap land, I'd rather get in play just in case, so I think it's not worth the bluff right there. Now our opponent does have a play to stop us from just killing them on board by taking down the Llanowar Elf. Since they didn't do that, I would assume there is something they could have. 1 card. I think we just have to go for it. If we attack with both, and our opponent has Vraska's Contempt for the Khenra and then blocks this, then our opponent is at 3 untapping with random cards. But if we Hardicurin and they Contempt that, we at least still have this. So I think that's better. I think we just go for it here. Our opponent could just be posturing, which I kind of doubt. Yep, I still think that's the better avenue right now. Puts us in a top deck war where their top decks are probably a lot better, which is scary. Now we're definitely on borrowed time. We have to try to finish this game as fast as possible. Alright, putting the counters on the Khenra. That's an interesting... Oh, I guess scavenging grounding now. That makes sense. I was going to say, giving us that option to play that doesn't seem like the greatest plan. Alright. Blossoming Defense. So we could attack through... And if he doesn't block, we would win, but there's no reason that our opponent wouldn't block. So we are just going to say go. Hold this for a more opportune time. Brontodon. Okay. Needed something there. That was our big window. Every turn is getting a little harder and harder to win the game. Yep, that's okay. Alright, now if we get a Sky Sovereign, we win. Ooh, a Khenra. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. Forces a chump block situation. At least puts us on the front foot. Okay. Now our opponent has to make a decision whether or not to deadlands or to just keep drawing cards. That card definitely helps our opponent out. Yep. Looks like we need a Sky Sovereign. Sky Sovereign. That's not a Sky Sovereign. Well, we could attack and look to bring it back. It's probably the play we have to do right now. So put our opponent up to 5. So now with this defense, so now we could save it to use next turn to pump this, but our opponent can just deadlands during his turn to shut off that play, so it's our best chance now to just be playing it. It's not ideal, but if our opponent was only drawing 1 card a turn, I think this game would be very close. But the fact that our opponent is drawing 2 makes it very tricky right now. Probably shrinking the Khenra. Yep. Okay. Still need a pretty good draw here. That is not the case. Gonna have to ship it back there. Opponent is just going off with Arch. Yeah, I mean, there's a world where we get to attack next turn if our opponent doesn't have a follow-up play here. Ugh, really needed something there. Well, if we attack and our opponent has nothing, which I think we have to assume and hope for, our opponent would take 3. It's not a winning situation because we wouldn't win with it next turn. Yeah, so I think we just have to pass. That Arch was a fantastic draw on that turn. Yeah, now we really have to find a boat or something to go in the air. Okay. Yeah, boat wouldn't even be good with Brontodon too, so we're actually quite cold right now, I think. I can't imagine this green-black deck is a good matchup for us. That's definitely not how it's playing out, that's for sure. Double Arch. Love it. Looks like a blast, that's for sure. Right, another Brontodon. All right, another land. I think is just going to safely lock it up. We'll play on just in case, but I don't see a scenario where we get out of this one. Oh yeah, I think that'll finish it up there. Well, we tried. We still didn't get our turn 2 Stompy, our Steel Leaf champion, so that's quite bad luck. But I think the deck is fun. The deck's great. You know, it's a good change of pace for people that don't necessarily want to look at Chainwhirlers, you know, round after round, considering it was the most dominant deck of the Pro Tour. But there are ways around it. You know, that it is not an unbeatable strategy. You do have to change the way you build to certain ways. Like we kind of noticed with this deck, the only X1s are Llanowar Elves. A card that still gains value in the early turns where it's not needing to survive in the late turns to gain value. Cards that do need that just get taken advantage by Chainwhirlers so easily. So the last couple weeks, it's been a little rougher for me to check the comments because I've been testing for the Pro Tour. But I'm back, got plenty of time on my hands, so leave your comments or concerns or anything, and I'll try to respond to them in a timely manner. Thanks so much for watching Droppin' Bombs, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.